Hey everybody, Chris Pulver here. Welcome to the Pulver Report, where we trade to be profitable, not perfect. Today's segment is all about the invisible hand of the markets. The big bad central banks that have been responsible for helping the global economy avert multiple financial crises, but also creating major bubbles of overvalued and inflated asset prices. So I thought what we should do is spend some time learning about these central banks, their core processes, and how it affects our global economy and our trading decisions. All that ahead on today's Pulver Report. So let's start with the definition. What is a central bank? A central bank, reserve bank, or monetary authority is an institution that manages the currency and monetary policy of a state or formal monetary union and oversees their commercial banking system. What does that really mean? Well, in short, they are responsible for money supply and monetary policy. Central banks issue currency and set interest rates on loans and bonds. So when we see central banks are raising rates, it's typically to slow growth and avoid the battle of inflation. If we see central banks lowering interest rates, it's typically to ignite growth and bolster consumer spending. Monetary policy should be used to help a country or the overall global economy achieve economic goals like full employment, GDP growth, and overall economic prosperity. Now, central banks also regulate their member banks. They can set the ground rules for how much cash these banks need to keep on hand or how much banks can lend to their customers. Central banks can also serve as an emergency lender through debt obligations. This sort of safety net, along with lower interest rates, has been a particular weapon of choice since the 2008-2009 financial crisis, and again in response to the COVID crash in 2020. Nowadays, central banks are walking a very fine line. They have been so impactful and influential in financial markets that we're seeing corporations and investors taking on excessive risk, believing that central banks are going to be the safety net. They're always going to support us. And because we have this excessive money supply, although it's boosting economic activity, we have this lower for longer race to the bottom interest rate environment where it's fueling inflation. And ultimately, when inflation runs hot, it reduces spending and purchasing power for the consumer. So on one extreme, you have inflation. The other is deflation. Japan in 1989, the real estate bubble burst. The Nikkei index lost a third of its value within a year. And here we are 30 years later, and the Nikkei has not recovered to those highs yet. In 2015, the European Central Bank took a similar approach, went into negative interest rate territory to battle deflation. So we have the Bank of Japan, European Central Bank, the Fed. These are costly, radical decisions that are averting short-term crises, but there's no evidence that these are long-term solutions. So on the subject of money supply or central bank tools, you may have heard of this one, quantitative easing. This is where a central bank creates new money supply and uses it to buy debt or securities and flood the economy with liquidity to drive down long-term interest rates. And we have seen this prolonged QE that has led to a currency war, right? This is when nations and central banks exhaust most of their options to stimulate growth. And so currency manipulation and depreciation is sometimes the only tool that remains. And this has been ongoing since 2012. So today we are facing a very delicate balance with central banks and the global economy. Balance sheets are bloated and under pressure to taper or reduce asset purchases. Fun fact, by the way, the top 10 central banks have expanded their holdings by over 265% in just the past decade. And you might be reading headlines about tapering, unwinding, and the financial markets aren't in love with the idea that this liquidity party is coming to an end. Even the thought of transitioning to a new normal is enough to scare the markets into some type of correction cycle. Just in the last 13 years, we have seen the central banks so active to help us avoid these financial crises, to help us avoid any type of correction cycle, that it's created this, recklessness of corporate buybacks and debt levels going insane. And the financial markets have almost become cocky and complacent, thinking that central banks and the Fed have our backs. They'll always step in whenever needed to calm the markets. And this has created a crazy and excessive gap between the haves and the have-nots. The top 1% control over 40% of the world's wealth. Even crazier, just in the US, the wealthiest 10% of Americans own about 89% of stocks and mutual funds. Right? The bottom 50% hold less than 1%. What the f? So look at the charts. You had this incredibly strong bottom in 2009, followed by years of bullishness and prosperity. And a strong bottom again in 2020, followed by a boom that has not let up yet. These gaps continue to widen. So do we blame the central banks? Not exactly. They're all part of the system just like everything else. But the headline that sticks out to me is that financial markets, the financial markets, are not the same as the real economy. And that was very apparent in 2020 when the stock market was bottoming and booming, and we had this relentless rally, but we still had supply chain issues. Entire industries are still feeling pains from shutdowns, e-com bottlenecks, labor shortages, reality. So guess what? We have to use the financial markets to get even. It may feel like a wild game, but you've got to start somewhere. So what if I told you that hedge funds buy and hold the same instruments that you can trade right now? If you give yourself some trading capital and some time in the markets, you have over 70 years of evidence showing that the S&P 500 does a pretty good job of going higher year after year. Now, of course, there are no guarantees and there's no crystal ball in trading, but a little effort and a little education can go a long ways. And regardless of what the central banks are doing, for better or worse, their decisions and policies will impact our finances. But do you think that they want to be blamed for the next crisis? They've literally been spending all this time trying to avoid them. So it's in their best interest to keep fanning the flames until the whole thing overheats. But there's a ton of money to be made in these markets before anything chaotic like that happens. You see debt ceiling, infrastructure bill, spending bill, tapering, bull or bear market, doesn't matter, right? I've said it before and I'll say it again. There are no excuses in our trading. Whether you invest or not, the decision is yours. But you can see who's investing. The top 1%, the top 10%. And they're getting wealthier. And in a weird way, trading is like making free money, right? It's pretty amazing. If you use $100 and you make another $100, how'd you do it? Well, I bought Tesla, I bought Apple, I bought Netflix, I bought The Spy, I bought Zoom, I bought Peloton, Wayfair, Delta Airlines, Capital One, or hundreds of other stocks out there that went up like crazy. Or I held Bitcoin and Ethereum and turned my $100 into $500. It's pretty amazing. We just have to be investing. So if you want to learn more, let me know how I can help. Maybe it's trading stocks, maybe it's options, maybe it's Forex or cryptos, but let it be something. And for a little nudge, if you type in this secret phrase today, hedge fund secret, type it into the comment section and I'll send you a link to the top 100 stocks owned by hedge funds, right? Thanks to 13F filings, these positions are publicly available. So I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown of central banks and how their policies and actions influence the global economy in the current environment, for better or worse. Now is the important part. You have some decisions to make. If you're interested in learning more, if you're interested in trading live with me, let me know. I trade live with students each and every week. You want to trade Forex? Join my Flex trading room. You want to trade stocks and options? Join my Equities On Demand trading room. I'll leave the descriptions for both in this video. And as always, I appreciate you watching today's video. Kindly hit that thumbs up button for me. Thank you for subscribing to the Pulver Report and share this video. Share this video with friends and peers, anybody you know that's looking to trade and be more consistently profitable. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for subscribing. Again, you can also check out my newsletter, the Pulver Report. That's www.pulverreport.com. I'll see you in the live markets. I'll see you in the trenches. Until next time, happy trading and lots of profits.